Hello and welcome to this episode of Jam. I'm your host, Jarvis Johnson. Today we explore a concept that often goes unnoticed in our fast-paced lives, the value of time. We live in an era where time is considered a precious resource, yet often slips through our fingers like a grain of sand. Today we'll look at the significance of time and how wasting it can have an adverse effect on our personal and professional lives. Enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in. Before we get started, hit the subscribe or follow button to get alerts on new episodes and other information. Enjoy the show.
This is Jam, the podcast, and I'm your host, Jarvis Johnson.
Let's take a look at time. Time is a concept that has fascinated humans for centuries. A Greek philosopher once said, "Time is a game played beautifully by children, and yet as adults, we tend to forget how to play the game effectively." We find ourselves caught up in chaos of our daily lives, constantly rushing from one task to another, rarely making time for reevaluation. Research has shown that the average person spends about 90,000 hours of their time at work. Let that sink in for a moment. 90,000 hours. That's roughly a third of your life. With such a significant portion of our time dedicated to work, it becomes crucial to utilize time wisely. But how often do we find ourselves wasting time at our jobs? A study has shown that the average employee spends about 3 hours per day on non-work related activities. This may include scrolling through social media, which a lot of you do, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, talking to coworkers, or just surfing the web. Shopping, everybody loves Amazon, so you're shopping, looking for stuff, or simply just surfing the web, looking at absolutely nothing. When we waste time at work, not only do we hinder our own productivity, but we also compromise the potential for personal growth and career advancement. But the value of time extends beyond the workplace. Our personal lives, hobbies, relationship, they all need time investments as well. Unfortunately, in today's society, there's a bunch of time-wasting traps. Let's take a look at a few. Like I said before, social media. That's probably the biggest one. It's a huge part of our lives. A survey showed that people spend roughly 2.5 to 3 hours per day on social media. Think about all the things you miss out on when you're scrolling through Instagram, TikTok. Now that TikTok's a trap. You can scroll on that thing for hours, looking at different posts, videos, etc. Time spent engaging with real people and pursuing meaningful experiences slips away every time you swipe. So keep that in mind. The next thing to think about, television and streaming services, your Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. They've all transformed the way we consume television entertainment. The average American spends about 3 to 4 hours daily watching TV. While there's nothing wrong with enjoying quality entertainment, it is important to recognize when it becomes time consuming and a habit that detracts from our pursuits in our daily lives. Now, a while back, we did an episode on procrastination. If you hadn't heard it yet, go back and take a listen to it. Procrastination is another thing that robs us of our valuable time. A study showed that about 20% of the population identifies with chronic procrastination. We delay important tasks without realizing the long-term effects that it has and creates stress. So what can we do to escape these time-wasting habits? Let's explore some strategies to reclaim control over our time and make the most of every precious second. Number 1, time tracking. Start by assessing where your time goes. Use a productivity app or simply write it down on a piece of paper. Identify the areas where you're spending too much time on unproductive activities. Number 2, set priorities. Understand your goals and align your time allocation accordingly. Establish a clear hierarchy of tasks based on the importance and urgencies. This will help you make a conscious decision about how to spend your time. Number 3, break tasks down into manageable chunks. Rather than overwhelming yourself with a huge workload, break tasks down into smaller manageable chunks. This not only increases productivity, but also helps combat procrastination. Number 4, time blocking. Allocate specific blocks of time for different activities. By assessing dedicated time slots for work, leisure, personal growth, and relationships, you create a structure that maximizes productivity and fulfillment. Number 5, mindful media consumption. Be aware of how much you engage in social media and other platforms. Set boundaries, limit daily usage, and actively choose to engage only with content that adds value to your life. I was reading 48 Laws of Power, and Law 35 is master the art of timing. It says, never seem to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and over time. Always seem patient, as if you know that everything will come eventually. Like I said before, use your time wisely. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. Use it wisely, or you'll be jammed. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button. Leave your reviews and ratings. We love to hear your feedback or any input, ideas you may have for upcoming shows. Thanks for tuning in.